Order of the Griggs County Commission. Stand for pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Maybe that is misleading. Should we correct that?
What?
It kind of does look like it's supposed to. I'm sorry, I didn't even realize.
I thought I was missing a page.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no.
Take roll. John.
Here.
Dale is not here. John indicated he's going to be here shortly.
Yep.
Ron is not here. And I'll let John speak to that in a minute. Sean is here.
Ron's in the hospital in Denver, and he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a rare form of bone marrow cancer.
Blood cancer.
Yeah, stemming from the bone marrow. So it's real rare. He informed me to tell you that he's undergoing treatment and doesn't know when he'll be back. So we'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Do you want to correct the wording on that thing, or just leave it? It's the water board attorney, Tom Moe, is going to come and speak with you, and then it's Eric Heyerdahl's resignation letter. Should we word that in a different way, or is that?
Well, I think you've explained it to us now.
Yep.
It could have been 2 agenda items.
Yeah.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second to the motion? John, there's only 3 of us.
Well,
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Go back to the August 18th board or commissioner proceeding minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
okay.
Any additions or corrections? There's a lot of tentatively approved motions.
Got to be long.
Which really, in the future, we don't need to do that because we approved the budget as a whole at the
suppose.
open meeting in October. So we don't need to tentatively approve anything. They're just changes made to the budget and it's approved as one lump sum, correct? That's what I.
But how can you do it without a motion though?
What's that?
How can you even put forth a budget in the public hearing without a motion when some of these things have been altered?
No, that's what I mean. There would be one motion made at the public hearing. After the public hearing, then we would vote to approve the budget as amended or.
I get that, but we've changed some of those numbers. The requested and what we put in the budget aren't necessarily the same thing. So for us to collectively change one of those numbers, we almost have to have a motion.
Well, you guys
Good, we did.
I mean, I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, for no argument, yeah, probably so.
I move to approve the August 18th minutes and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to approve the August 18th meeting minutes and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we'll go to the August 24th meeting minutes.
I'd move to approve the August 24th minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to approve the minutes from the August 24th meeting and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Second by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to the bills. What's Matthew Bender and Company Incorporated?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that me?
Is that you?
Usually legal books.
Oh, really? It
Code
just
books, yep.
general supplies and materials. The account is.
Yeah, it's updated code books for the state's attorney's office.
Oh,
And probably one for the one that's in the judge's chambers too.
you still update your paper code books?
I have been, yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes it's just easier to have the code books. When I'm in my office, I usually use the code books.
Really? If you asked me to go get my FDIC rule books out, I wouldn't know if I could find them.
Well, books don't have a very good search engine.
No,
Hard to find anything unless you're familiar with it.
they don't have very good longevity either, as fast as the bureaucrats make laws and rules and recommendations. And
So
whatever
do
else.
you keep the whole law library up to date and?
The North Dakota code
Yeah.
books, but they don't replace the books every year. They put pocket parts in them. They're just small updates that they put in them, or else they give you little cardboard stick over
Like
top.
3-ring binders or something.
No, they're not 3-ring binders.
They
They're
are,
actually
so.
books, but they give you stickers to stick over them. If there's an updated portion of the law, they give you stickers to stick
Wow.
over. So it's not a complete update of the books. They update.
That's a century code?
Yep. They update administrative. You get a soft copy of the rules every time they update the rules. But as far as the century code, they don't send you a new version of books all the time. The version of books that we probably have is 20 years old. They give you pocket parts.
They update the website the day of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the reason that when they don't update the century code book, that leads to a lot of problems, because people that don't have the updates in there, and they interpret the law as it was written and before it was updated, and then it causes problems.
But I noticed when the tax director was in town, all those lawyers were sitting there rifling through those books.
Yeah.
Well, if you get to know the books, I mean, that's how I really required at first year law school to do all book research. We couldn't use the internet for anywhere stuff. And I don't know why, but I mean, it's just sometimes faster.
The practice of law would generally like it if it wasn't on the internet. It's made too many people access to the information that only lawyers had access to.
And that's probably true. And we had to go to the law library to be able to look at cases.
Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't matter, I was just curious.
Road contract work, Wayne, that's
KLJ. Or no, that was Gilbertson's.
$194. Okay.
Wasn't the vendor Tom Gilbertson and Sons?
Yep, okay,
Yeah.
up the top, yep. That's for culverts or something?
No, that riprap down to that, I think that's what it was.
Oh.
Riprap down to the bridge, and then they had some dozer work to push it in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1,200 and something.
$1,294.
Oh, Dale. Dale's here. How's your patient?
Siren?
Better.
What's siren expense? You have a siren?
Fire.
Must be this.
Well,
Where you at?
Yeah,
What
where
page?
we at?
page 11, or page 11, yeah. 3/4 of the way down on the 911/W siren expense for $1,000.
Oh, 911 wireless. CERN. It's not siren.
Well,
What's SIRN?
I thought it was short for siren. What is it?
State interoperable radio.
Oh, that's that radio system
Oh.
that they're.
That's that collection is the extra.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of months ago.
How does that go? We collect it from the phone
Collect from the
company
phone company,
and send it to the
phone company
state.
collects it from the person that goes to us, and then we send it to that.
Yeah. If the mob's doing it, they call it extortion.
It's a It's a hidden tax by the state to update their radio
Like I
system.
said, extortion. What do they take away from us if we don't do it? Something.
Well, this phone company's writing us a check. What are you gonna do with it?
Again. In the model that best fits the bureaucracy, they pass it on to the ones upstream.
Exactly.
Legislatures, I think, voted for it. So we can go back to that.
But I mean, to truly fit the model, there has to be a penalty for not doing it, not passing it along.
You want another visit from the tax commissioner, John?
Yeah, probably so. You can get to talking on fast. On the same page, general courtroom, $9,300. Page 11.
Schultz.
Yeah, what did he do?
Schultz.
Yeah. Did he give me a raise or just got behind where he's going?
He's got to be that behind on the billing because he came out this week because the server room was overheating and the AC unit wasn't working, and the next day it was working, so they didn't find anything, so it wouldn't be that for that amount.
It's the remainder of the contract from when he put in the systems originally.
Okay. So then.
Because we paid him $15,000, and
Okay,
the contract was for
25.
$24,500, so
Yeah.
he billed us $9,500
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
plus a service contract or a service call.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if that was the completion of it.
Yepper.
Yeah.
So. With that said, is all the HVAC work done now?
I would think so.
Till next time, yeah.
All these air handlers have been tested, the dual heating's working, everything's working?
They haven't told me anything different. I mean, they didn't come in and do any training or anything with us.
I mean, we should probably have a service contract with Schultz twice a year to come in in spring and fall and make sure everything's working correctly.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's a maintenance-heavy system. There's 9
Air
air
handlers.
handlers. They all have to have filters changed. I
I mean,
mean,
those should be changed every 60 days.
yeah. Depending on the condition, you can get a kind of grip on how plugged up they are, but I mean, there are 9 residential air handlers in here.
I know. I wonder if Brian has it. Do you want to check on that? Make sure Brian's checking those filters.
Okay.
I mean, they have them at the hardware store.
Isn't there just the little ones in here? Or is
I
it-
don't know
is
what
it
they
the big
have.
ones?
I don't know.
You know, those big thick ones are.
Why wouldn't we?
It's expensive too.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else in the bills?
I'd move to approve the bills as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Monthly office reports.
Sorry, I should have been on that last one. Thank you. Any questions on the office reports?
I'd move to approve the office reports as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the office reports as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
This is it.
Wayne.
All I have to do is review our county federal aid program sheets that we got just the other day. went back and looked at our 2016 sheet, and if you look on the top of the page in the right-hand corner, it says federal aid funds available. And you remember we did the last project we borrowed ahead. So it says we were still 128,000 in the hole, more or less, or in the red. And so we got our allotment, and now we are still a minus $2,147. So, and we have the chip seal program for 2019. So hopefully by that time we'll get enough funds to do the federal match with that money. And then we have to use the local match. Otherwise, we'll have to extend it to another year. But and then federal aid bridge program. In 2016, we had the 5 miles east and 1 mile north as a priority on the top of the list. And I thought we had changed it to that, but now on the new list it shows the 1 mile east and 8 miles north as the top priority. That's the Decker Bridge. Estimated cost of $1.2 million. Federal aid available $971,160.
That's not even where that bridge is.
Pardon?
That's not even where that bridge is. It's 10 miles north of town. The corner north of town is 7 miles.
7 miles, yep.
Well, that Georgie Peterson farm is 3 miles north of there.
Maybe there's a bridge over there.
I don't think so.
It's gonna be.
Well, that's going to be changed. But anyway,
There's no river there, so.
there is rivers there. But maybe not 1 mile. And anyway, then they put the 5 miles east, that's the Dahl Bridge, as the secondary.
And that one's really the priority. I mean, that's a more traveled
It was.
road and it's washed out. And
Right. That they moved to 11, 12, 21, but they said when we come out to the meeting, or if anyone comes out there, if you request me to have a change the other way around, the meeting is October 10th at 3:30 in Bismarck.
You're going out there?
Yeah.
yeah.
So we should try to get that.
Should try to get that.
That little
decided.
bridge should be on the top of the list. That's on a county road.
Right. Refresh my memory. Were we authorized to use the Senate and House bill funds as our part of the match?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So that comes out to be a pretty good deal.
Yeah. But it's
We still have
11, 12,
two more
20,
meetings.
21,
Pardon?
2000.
Yeah, we could switch that around to 2018,
We could.
Yeah.
You can move it back in
because we have to get that money spent.
Okay. I'd make a
If
motion that
19
we
is-
have.
If 19 is the end of it, but
I'd make a motion that we have Wayne try to get that switch to have the Dahl Bridge or the 5 mile east and 1 mile north bridge listed as a priority.
It's been moved by John to move the bridge 5 miles east and 1 mile north of Cooperstown to the top of the priority list for bridges.
I guess it's 0020032.
There you go.
Project number.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John,
Aye.
Dale, Sean,
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried.
and we would try to get that in for 18 or 19 if we can use the funds.
What's that?
So we could try to get that in for 18 if we can.
Yeah. Get it fixed as quick as possible. And then we can,
Because we
because we've got to use the
We'll use that.
Senate money or the House bill.
Right, and that's gonna be a box culvert,
Yep, double box culvert.
you know,
Yep.
but not as long as the one up north was. And that one came in $200,000 under the engineer's estimate, so it might not be that much
It might be
anyway.
a pretty simple job. There isn't a big slope and stuff to fixed up there like it was up there.
No.
Okay. I think that's it then.
Okay.
And on the bottom there, it says the main line, dynamic warning signs, edge lines, chevrons, and other signing. But there's a lot of counties that aren't going through with that program because the split was a 60-40. You get 60% from the federal highway and then the 40% from the local share. And then you have to put it all out on bids. You can't just go out there and put signs up. So it'd be a lot easier if we were gonna do it, just to buy the chevrons ourselves and put them up on the curves, you know. The edge lines, we have that on some of the roads right now. So,
So you need authorization to buy them, or you just, there's not, you got money to buy them?
I can just buy them, I think, with approved sign money that you guys have also.
We need to do something, or we can do nothing?
Yeah, we can do something, or we can do nothing. The state is going to do their share, which is, I think, some kind of a warning light out here coming off the airport road. I don't know if it's a warning light or what's exactly going to be there. And then I think, I don't remember if it's 201 or by Binford.
They're not gonna put that blinking light back up?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I bet they'll do like they did up in Lakota, up on 2 and 1. Put
They
flash
should
lights.
do. They should just put up one of those flashing stop signs.
with the solar panel on it or whatever,
Yeah.
like they got in
The
Finley there by
solar-
the school?
Yep. Because we all miss that. We don't miss the corner, but it's just.
I don't
it's
miss it
always
anymore
been
because I'm never out after dark anymore, Wayne.
Kind of got to be a landmark, you know, you look by, oh, there's that red light, you know, ahead, but. Anyway, we're graveling in the southeast corner of the county now. Trying to get some of that stuff up. Try to get spraying before it gets too close to mowing.
Where people are already mowing.
Yeah, and if they mow, they mow, but.
If we get a little moisture, some of these town county roads need a blade pretty bad.
They're blading every day, but I mean, it's,
That Macville Road really beat up.
they get rutted up,
Well,
or everybody drives in the same trail.
and last time it rained really hard, it ran. So it's pretty rough. Now all this truck traffic, it's gonna
Yeah.
get
We
bad
finished
again.
Jake's area of graveling last Thursday, I think it was, Wednesday or Thursday, so now he's back onto the blading more regular, so.
It's just so dry right now. It's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, you loosen up a bunch of stuff and it just goes away again, so.
All right.
Great,
Thanks, Wayne.
thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Can I
Thank you, Wayne.
please take us back to bills really quick? There was the North Dakota School Boards Association dues in there, forgot to get flagged, and you guys approved it. You guys have never approved this in the past. Do you want me to take it out? It's for superintendent of schools dues.
Oh, superintendent association dues?
Yeah.
Yeah, shouldn't
We made a
have been.
motion a long time ago that we didn't want to pay any, we wanted any of those dues flagged.
Yep. And this one got missed, and Lori just told me, she's like, I'm sorry, I forgot to flag it. Here it is.
Well, if we're gonna be
Consistent.
consistent, we better take it out.
Do I need a motion that you guys take this out?
Let me see it. I would make a motion to remove the North Dakota School Boards Association dues from the bills previously approved.
Thank you.
Second.
I don't know if that's quite legal, but
Someone can rescind the motion. Whoever made the motion can rescind it.
that's probably the right thing to do. rescind the original motion. Who made the original motion?
I did.
And then, well, you could move to rescind the original motion approving the bills, and then we'll approve the bills with that,
Okay.
minus that one.
And I make a motion, I rescind my previous motion to pay the bills.
Been moved by Sean to rescind the previous motion to approve the bills. Is there a second? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
And now I make a motion to approve the bills with the exclusion of the North Dakota School Boards Association dues.
Thank you. It's been moved by John to approve the bills excluding the North Dakota Association of School Superintendents dues. Is that what it is? Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
Water Board. Tom Moll?
Yes, sir. Want to move over here, maybe?
Sure.
So you can see you guys. Sit over the chair. Understand you have some questions?
Just a couple questions. During our budget deliberations, it came up, the fact that I don't think this board was in favor of using general tax dollars towards assessed projects. And by the looks of the century code, we have the ability to, the water board has the ability to use those general tax dollars if approved by, in the budget by the county commission. And then also what came up is the fact that there hasn't been a levy imposed yet on these, either one of these projects that have been approved by the voters. So there's no funding source in place. And also, the money that the people put up, the what do they call them? Petitioners put up are not covered by, there's been no warrants issued to the effect so that they are covered for the money they've put up. And we've been told repeatedly that the reason this has not been levied yet is because you advised not to. And also, we were told that the were at risk until the project was completed, which is patently false. Once it's voted on, no, they're not at risk at all anymore. So we were wondering, because the answer to our questions was always that Tom told us this was the way we had to do it, and we couldn't make any headway, we decided to see if Tom said that's the way we have to do it.
Got several questions there. Well,
I got more, but I'll have to give you a little
Well,
bit.
first of all, I've never, I don't, when I advise boards, I typically will not get a situation where I say you have to do this, you have to do that. I give them options on the board. The board is the boss. The board always picks the different choices. So I don't know if I've ever said that they had to do something a certain way, but if you want to talk about the levy first, in my experience with these kind of projects, can you levy as soon as the vote is approved? Yes, you can. Typically, boards will wait until there's some dirt moved, some physical work being done. There's been a lot of work done in this project, but it's all paperwork, it's all permitting, it's all that. There's been a lot of legwork, a lot of spade work done, but not a lot of no dirt moving, I guess, for the last word. So, typically you wait for that assessment to go on the tax list until that happens, so people can see there's some physical progress to see. It's a discussion that the board is going to be taking up here probably next week. In that I suspect there's an October deadline. probably for taxes, isn't it? October 15th deadline to get something on the tax list, isn't that about right?
I think so.
Yeah. So that discussion's got to happen here pretty soon if they want to put it on this fall or not. But just in my experience is you typically wait until there's been some work done, some physical dirt moving.
So in my interpretation.
Because what happens is that there's obviously opponents to this project, and they very well might want to pay taxes under protest, and then you've got to deal with that. The commission's got to deal with taxes under protest. So you kind of like to shortstop that because if you have some physical work done, chances are more and more people will not pay under protest. It's just kind of a human nature thing. So.
Well, my interpretation of the process, according to the Century Code, is that once it is voted on, that it should be levied immediately, because once you have a levy, then you have the ability to issue warrants against that levy. And the warrants are then what you use as a financial instrument in order to move the thing forward. Right now, the financial instrument to move it forward has been general tax dollars or monies within the water board's treasury.
Water boards,
And the petitioners.
And the petitioners.
And the petitioners are certainly a risk, and those warrants are only supposed to be for a maximum of 3 years. They're supposed to be issued immediately upon, let me rephrase that. The warrants are supposed to be issued immediately upon voter approval.
I think you're working on the other form of project, I think, which is it's a different section of the code, but you build assessment drains one of two ways. Either with board's own motion and board's the warrant process, or with petitioner's process, which is what we used here. 35 plus years of doing this, I've never been involved with a board that starts a project on its own that way, because you want to have landowner involvement, you want to have landowner buy-in.
You're right, but once it is approved, voted on by the people
Affected
in the
landowners.
drain, then the petitioners are no longer at risk.
Well, the petitioner's money's at risk.
No.
Yes. Once the project is completed, then those dollars that the petitioners have put in, you can handle it one of two ways. Either you reimburse them, or else you give them credit against their future taxes. Once again, it's in that title. It's in chapter 21, not 16.1.
Okay. 612111. The board may require the petitioners referred to in this section 612110 to file a bond with the petition in a sum sufficient to pay all expenses and surveys, and of the board should be the petition later denied. However, in no event shall the petitioners be required to pay expenses of surveys and of water resource board and any other expenses that may be incurred if the petition is later approved, but the drain is not constructed.
We're not at that point. We're not at that point.
No, but it's been approved.
But if the last part, if the drain has been not constructed, we're not at that point.
It doesn't matter. Once it has been approved, the petitioners are no longer at risk.
For future costs. But the last part of the sentence is if the drain is not constructed, we're not at that point.
No. Well, I had Jamie read it and interpret it.
Yeah, we don't want to get
We have
into
two different lawyers, and one half-assed one, me.
Well,
So, but my point to the board was, what does this hurt to put this levy in place and get this straightened up? Why would be if this thing doesn't go forward, the money that has been spent is still going to be the responsibility of the taxpayers.
and you're talking about the Thompson Bridge
Whatever we're calling it now.
Well, you got two projects. You got the Thompson Bridge, you got Silver Creek, and the Thompson Bridge, of course, is we're awaiting those federal Army Corps permits. So we're waiting for. But I guess to answer your question, I mean that drain is going to be constructed, and so the practice has been is that you like I say, you either credit those petitioners' money against their taxes, or you reimburse it back.
Right, but there has to be warrants issued in order to assure that they're getting that back. And now let me ask Jamie this, Jamie. What's your interpretation of 612111?
the interpretation you told me before was that once it's voted on, the petitioners are no longer at risk. And as far as I know, the petitioner's money came after the vote, is that correct?
No, no.
I believe the petitioner's money came before the vote. but
No, it came in many different tranches,
Right, but it came before the vote.
not all of it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that afterwards, and it states right in the section of the code that, there's, in no event shall the petitioner be required to pay expenses, surveys, and of the Water Resource Board and any other expenses that may be incurred if the petition is later approved.
Right.
But the drain is not constructed.
But the drain is not constructed.
So,
We're not at the point.
Well,
I mean, I don't think that the petitioners aren't at risk and the rest of the county shouldn't be at risk. I think that those taxes are gonna have to be levied no matter what, if it's,
No question, it's just a question of timing, that's all. But that's a board, that's a board decision, but the petitioner's not at risk for future.
no, it never says future, it doesn't say future.
That section deals with, when you start a project under that chapter 21, you ask for the bond monies from the landowners to support the starting of this project. And after the vote goes through, then of course you don't go back to the petitioners as a petitioner. You may go back to them as a landowner, but not as a petitioner.
Once it's been voted on, there's nobody at risk for any money ever put up. That's the straight.
Well, landowners will be in the special assessment district.
Oh, of course, but everybody should be then. But I mean, the petitioners will not be at risk of losing.
What's
anything.
driving this? What's the issue here?
The issue
what's
is
the argument here? Where's it coming from? I'm trying to.
The issue is general tax dollars being used for these assessed drains. That's the issue.
Well, the water board general fund, right?
No,
Yeah.
those are general tax dollars of Griggs County. We budget, they want in their budget, general tax dollars to be used for these assessment drains. I don't believe that general tax dollars should be used for these assessment drains.
Well, and if that's the case, then future projects will have to rethink this. But that's the mill levy that you give to the water board. The water board is a separate political subdivision. It's not like the other departments.
I understand that, but it still has to be budget approved by the county commission.
Absolutely.
And if the county commission chooses not to give them money, line item money for these projects, they can do so. That's the point.
Well, I mean that's a financial situation. That's in your bailiwick.
Well,
That is our point.
that's the point.
Oh, sure.
So then the point is, why not levy these dollars and get this project moving
It's
forward?
not my decision.
Well,
You're not levied.
You're sitting here because they say it's your decision.
Well,
So you guys have a communication problem
Well-
here, because they sat here last meeting and said, we're not doing it because Tom said we
well,
can't.
that could very well be, but they may say that. But they certainly can put that levy on.
Very good, thank you.
If they choose to. Sure.
Thank you.
The other reason, in my opinion, that it should be levied right away, you say, well, if there's no dirt being moved, then the people in the assessed drain area are going to wonder what's going on. And they should. After 5 years of dinking around, they should wonder what's going on. Instead of us funding this thing through the general tax levy, and there's no light shed on the ineptness of this process. That is, I'm against that.
Well, I guess I would take somewhat of a different opinion on
Well, I'm sure you would.
characterization of this, because there's been lots of work done on this.
Nothing to
Nothing
to show for it.
Well, for one reason, your county highway's got some easements now, which you didn't have before. That got accomplished with this project. You've got a survey done. You've got a plans and specs. You've been to the State Water Commission.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money
You've got
spent
permits.
a whole bunch of engineering money before there was an easement, and then they had to go re-easement because they didn't have the route correct. I've been in the utility industry long enough. I kind of know how to approach one of these projects, and that's not how it's done.
Well,
So-
water projects are a different animal, but know that. And especially when you've got.
No, not when
especially
you-
when you got state water commission, you've got the federal agencies.
whatever.
So, these things take time, they do. Now, is this one taking longer than it should, than I thought it would? Absolutely. Is it taking longer than what the board thought? Absolutely.
Yep.
But part of the problem has been the federal agencies. The biggest part of the problem.
You might be right, but I think a lot of the problem is local. So, with that said, we can agree to disagree.
But again, $140,000 spent on engineering when there were cheaper estimates before that. And no engineering contract in place, no bid process, and we still don't have the engineering done. Now, we can say, well, it was permitting or whatever it was, but and that was all petitioner money and general tax dollars that were spent on that. This wasn't anybody from the assessed drains paying those bills. So you can see the concern when the county commission is supposed to look out for the taxpayer of Griggs County, and now we have money from the general taxpayer, somebody far removed from these drains, having their money dumped into this thing, and I'm supposed to be accountable for it. How do I account for it? How do I say, okay, yeah, go ahead and just spend that money as you will, and we trust you that we'll get this thing moving forward and reimbursed, and we haven't seen any of that, and it's been going on. I've been trying for 3 years, talking to Bob, to get this process going forward. He kept assuring me it was. And now when it finally got to the point where we're asking questions, you were always the linchpin on why it wouldn't happen. Now you're sitting here, I see that you can no longer be a linchpin. You're either way, whatever they want to do. So now we know where who to talk to get this thing done, and I appreciate that you have an opinion on this, but that you weren't one-sided on it. So I think the questions I had for you are answered. I think it can be done the way that the Century Code lays it out, and if, in my opinion, if the water board doesn't want to do that, then there should be new water board members that would.
That's out of my area. So that'll be.
But not ours. That is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think I would disagree with your idea of the warrants because I know that the warrant language shows up in the other process quite a bit. That language is there because you don't have any petitioner money to work with. But the projects I've been involved with all these years, it's just kind of the way it always works. And that's the practice we've been using. So.
But there wasn't enough petitioner money to handle this one.
And and welcome to Griggs County because of the nature of the topography here, I think, and with the fact that we got a Cheyenne River running through here, that all of a sudden the Corps of Engineers has a heightened visibility and heightened involvement, which I think I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen.
Besides the $96,000.
But our engineers for the county haven't had large issues dealing with the Corps for us getting permitting for roads and bridges.
Roads and bridges, totally different deal.
Some of the same permit. Anyway,
dealing with waters of the United States, it's a whole different animal, of course. And that's been the issue, and we've learned that in this project. And that
waters of the U.S. is not a law yet. It won't be.
There's besides the $96,000, Tom, of partitioner money in here. There's also $102,000 of general taxpayer dollars in this. So this has gone far past the petitioners. And if there would have been a levy in place, people would have bought warrants, and it could be solely financed outside the general tax fund. That's the point. We don't have any problem. I don't have any problem with doing the project. I have a problem with relying on the taxpayers of Griggs County to pay for it that are outside the assessment. That's the problem. And I haven't been able to make any progress because your name comes up as, no, we can't do it that way. And knowing lawyers, I know that's not the case. No, you're not going to take liability for something that doesn't benefit you.
Well, I don't know, but yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the way it is.
As I indicated right at the outset, is that, there's different routes you can take, different options you can do, and so, yes, do I say this is a better one, this is not as good a one? Sure, any lawyer will do that, but if this body, if the water board wants to place that levy on, they surely can. It's just that there's going to be some ramifications, I think, for you, is that you're going to deal with some, I think, many more payments under protest, and that's your area. So.
That is all within the system. That's easily handled. But then, at least we have a dollar value in place, and we have a system to handle when the payments aren't made. Right now, we have nothing. The petitioners have nothing. The Griggs County has no guarantees, and the money coming back, nothing is in place. And we have huge amounts of money spent on engineering that we're far past what the state allows you to do without a bid. I mean, $100,000, and we're way past that. So there's some complications here, Tom.
Although the engineering, of course, has been an ongoing thing versus I think the original engineering for the package for the project. Do you remember what it was, Al?
40,000.
So. Yeah.
But it still doesn't matter. The state doesn't. The Century Code doesn't let you go in little tranches. They take the whole project.
Of course, the Water Commission will, of course, will pay for quite a bit of that engineering. So.
But I mean, the way the levy should have been done, the full estimated amount of this project should have been levied, and then we only use, or the entity only uses the amount necessary on a yearly basis, just like the courthouse or any of the rest of that stuff.
Understand.
So you can assist them in moving forward that if they so desire.
If they choose to, I mean, it's just, it'll be, we have the assessment list, and they can do that. You know, like I say, there is some I think benefits to delay, but there's some disadvantages to going forward. But they'll have to weigh that.
Mm-hmm.
How long was the vote held for this?
2011?
No, it wasn't that.
14.
December 14, yeah. So it's been, it has been 5 years. We haven't been dinking around for 5 years. It's been 3.
Well, but no, it started in 11.
But there's been plenty of work.
Every year the levy is an audit increases the cost per acre for the landowners.
Because we only have a 20-year window. So it's going to, now if you only have 17 left, you're going to have to squeeze that into 17 years rather than 20.
I think the plan was, I think the original plan was, at the hearings, was a 15-year payout, I think, as I recall, so on this one. So I think the assessment was only going to be a 15-year period anyway. So, and some will pay in advance. Some will pay their assessment in advance. So.
And then on the petitioner's money, as far as taking that off of their, I suppose they could be paid back, and then they could pay it back to the county in taxes. But I think the ability to take it off of their future taxes only lies if this is a drain if this was a drain that was added on to another drain.
Don't think so.
That was my reading of it. But I thought maybe it was added on to the existing drain down there.
No, I don't think so. I think.
Is this an amendment to the Karnick drain, or is this a new drain?
That's
new drain.
Then I don't think they have the ability to take it off in their future taxes. But nevertheless, they could be paid back, and they could pay.
Yeah, there's an accounting way to do it.
Yep.
So yeah.
I've read way more of the Century Code on the water board than
you know, my own property back in Trail County, I petitioned. I was a petitioner, and that's how they did it. They just took it off of my. Just did it.
Yep.
How they accounted it, I don't know how they did that, but
yeah.
we just got reduced amount of taxes up to the amount of money.
Right, but
You just subtract it from your specials?
Yeah,
but
specials.
the bad part about that is you don't get any interest on your money. If they issue the warrants, you actually get a dividend on your money for putting it up. And so, over 20 years, it's going to amount to a little bit of interest on the
The
money.
person who buys the warrant, of course, has to get paid interest, so that's a cost.
Mhm.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now we can have a frank discussion with the water board, and you're not in the middle of it anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't want to leave you with the idea that this water board is not. I mean, this is a good board. These are good people.
I'd never say
And I've
no.
always, detected there's an adversarial relationship here with the county commission, and that's not good. It's not good.
You're right, you're right.
And these are good people. They're well informed. They work hard. They're courteous to the public. They have an institutional memory. These guys, and they work well. And so I would like to see the adversarial sense cease.
Well,
It's not
again,
good.
the adversarial part of it is because I believe that general tax dollars should not be used towards a project that only benefits a few people. Also, we haven't seen the chairman of the water board here since this thing started. So how do you ask questions? How do you get a decision? How do you get anything done when you can't even talk to the people that you're supposed to be talking
Yeah,
to?
and I don't know if you've requested him to be here or not. I don't know that. I know
Numerous times.
I know Commissioner Peterson's, oftentimes sits with us, and
Numerous
so
times.
I guess we make the assumption that there's a line of communication through him, but I think I guess I can't speak to their presence. I know Alan has come, Mr. Jacobson has come.
Yep, Alan's been here.
Has come on occasion, so when requested. So
The last thing that I had was on the terms. It appears like we're under the impression to use for 4-year terms. They're not, they're 3-year.
yeah, and that's there again. I haven't really gotten ever involved with that because you folks just keep reappointing them, and so I know when we were working with Commissioner Kent Anderson, yeah, he had set up a some rotating schedule. I think they've just been following that. Prior to the water boards, it was the drain boards, and those were 5-year terms.
Yeah.
And then they went. Then after that, they went from a 5-year to a 4-year and a
3-year.
3-year. So there was a 4-year term in there for a while in the law. So that's going to be changing.
It is changed. It is 3-year now.
It's 3 years now, but like I say, I guess I just have never really looked at that because
And they don't
these
know-
guys kind of keep track of who's up next and working off a 4 year. So we need to go to a 3-year term. So
Yeah.
so you'll have to
So
you'll have to figure out how that works. So,
Yeah, and then they don't allow for reappointment anymore. The terminology is that the member gets to serve until a replacement is found.
Mhm.
So there are not reoccurring terms anymore in the water board either.
That's a 3-year term. So
Yeah.
so I suppose it's if it's a 3-year term or a 4-year term or 5-year term, once that period of time is up, then you keep serving until your replacement is named. And so I suspect if the county commission doesn't name a replacement, then
That's correct.
serving.
That's
There's an
correct.
oath of office, however, that all political subdivision members have to sign. You folks have to do that. So I suppose at the end of I know that's happened. If there's an end of a 3-year term or 4-year term, then the member signs that oath of office. So.
But that 3-year terminology has been in place for 6 years anyway.
Yeah.
So
And like I say, I just never have been involved with that because they've had a rotating schedule from Commissioner Anderson, and
Yeah.
they've just been keeping working off of that. I don't think anybody really had seen that.
So in actuality, we have a number of the board members that are actually 1 year in, or are all past their 3-year limit.
Well, you've got a board that have all been there for. I'm trying to think here.
No, I mean term wise. We got the term when they were appointed, and so we'll have to make some.
You've been
arrangements
making
there.
reappointments every January, I think. Have you not,
Right.
Commission? All your boards, but this particular board, you make an appointment every January. Whoever is quote unquote up, I think
Right.
you're doing it. So
Well,
that would be your
Yep.
Right. We just haven't been following the century code on the
Yeah.
length of the terms.
yeah, and there again, I guess I'll take that one because I guess I just haven't looked at it. I guess you guys have been reappointing them, so we're all at fault in that. But
I don't think anybody's
you take a look at your January minutes back and you find out who did we appoint that year, who did we appoint that next year, and there you go. So.
And we'll fix it in January. I mean, there'll be more appointments because there'll be more people up, but that's easily fixed. Okay.
As far as the permitting process, is a water board doing more than they should be doing? To me,
In regard to what?
so being involved directly with the permitting process, it seems to me like the engineering firm is the one that should be ushering that process through, not the individual water board. The water board members to me it's a governing board. It's not a police force. It's not the boots on the ground. It's governance. It's higher level than that. I don't understand why there's that level of involvement.
Well, two things. One is I always tell county commissioners that for every phone call the water board person takes at 10 o'clock at night is one less telephone call that you're going to get. But
That doesn't answer my question.
I understand that, but that is, they have a lot of that. They have a lot of that public involvement. So I mean, from the standpoint of involvement, I think they are heavily involved just by nature of the business. Now permitting, if you don't have an active, there again, it's just a matter of how these particular board members want to work this. If they make the call and work with Corps of Engineers, then that means less engineer time that's going to be done. So in your prior comment, is it less expensive to have a water board member do some of that spade works and that leg work? And there again, that's not my bailiwick. That's just how personalities choose to do it. But we've got some contact people with the Corps of Engineers in Bismarck that quite frankly Chairman Brooks has developed a conversational relationship with, and is there some way to shepherd this permitting that's quicker? And that's and Renaissance Engineering has also been involved with that. So
I'm going to have to draw the line here. We have two projects that are in default basically, and the same people are running both of them, the engineering firm and Chairman Brooks, and they're both in complete mess. You can't tell me that there isn't a commonality there.
Commonality is Corps of Engineers.
No,
I've not run into the Corps of Engineers in this problem area other than and it's I've not run into it in Trail County and in Cass County and not counties I'm familiar with, but
Right, but
I think
there's a lot bigger river in Trail County and Cass County.
I understand, but I've not run into nearly the troubles with the Corps that we have here, and I don't know what it is.
well, you're reinforcing my point. There must be personalities.
It could be,
and so.
Well, there's no question that there are some personalities at the Corps office that I've not run into before.
Right.
No question. There's no question, and so we're trying to work around that. And now, and we're working with both with the Bismarck office and the St. Paul office. Two different permits.
I haven't read that part of the CFR, but I wouldn't feel comfortable myself trying to go through that permitting process. Is it going to save you some engineers' time? Maybe not.
Mm-hmm. I don't think, and to answer your question, I don't think.
I don't know if
I don't think that Mr. Brooks is getting involved in. I think it's more.
Well, he's made trips to.
I think a lot of it is when are we going to get this? Do you need more information? What information do you need? I don't think he actually gets into the engineering data per se, but I think it's more trying to make a push here to get the agencies to make a decision.
Yeah.
Well,
So I mean, I guess that's something that you need to take up with him if you don't want him to participate in that way.
And I don't know what. I mean, I just hear him when I've talked to him, he's making trips to Mandan or whatever to talk to the Corps, and I just think that's the engineer's job, and if the engineer can't get it done, then you find a different one.
that's right.
This is pretty simple.
Yeah,
and it isn't done, and it ought to be done.
and
I think it's time.
I would.
That's our frustration.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you talk about frustration. I'll tell you.
Well, I know.
I've been terribly frustrated with this Army Corps of Engineers and their inability to make a decision.
Well, it
it's-
seems like they've kind of made one.
No, they haven't. They
Oh,
haven't. There's two permits that where we need, the 404 and the 408, and they're not moving on it.
Yeah.
They're not moving on it. And so, what do? We visited. We have made inquiries with Senator Hogan's office, which is always a double-edged sword because no agency likes to have the Congress.
How many bureaucrats do you want to get mad?
You know, but we've done that. We've done that to try to get them off a dead center and make a decision. But that's what we're waiting on now. Is those two permits.
So I've asked the question of two engineering firms, once in an open meeting here and once in private, just for my own information. But in the open meeting, and both engineering firms said the same thing. And the question was, if we hired you to do this project at the start, would you take it all the way from that point to completion at the end? And both of them said, absolutely. You show us the guidelines, you show us what you want done, and we will take care of it. I asked them, would we have to be involved in the permitting? No, you would not.
Mm-hmm.
So why wasn't that up front with this engineering firm we used? And why are we in this position now where it's a he said, she said, back and forth argument all the time?
And I think I would agree with you but also you're going to pay. If you carry it through, there will be more engineering costs than what you're estimating.
More than $140,000.
Probably so.
When the estimate was originally 40.
Yeah, probably so.
I don't think so.
But this pay-as-you-go thing, of course it's gotten more expensive than it should have because the project should have been scoped and bid to start with, and the engineer should have done their job based on that scope and that bid, and if they didn't, they go away. That's the way the world works, but not here.
Yeah, I mean, the plans and specs were there, and there should have been no problems with permitting. Should have been no problems, but for some reason the Corps has dug in their heels.
Yep.
And part of it, I think, has been the landowner, the opposition landowners have put in complaints and letters, as is their right to do. But that's slowed things down.
This is true, but
No.
in the end, the majority should rule.
Once it was voted on, they don't have any rights anymore. Unfortunately, they don't.
The Corps has had public comment periods when anybody's had to make comments.
That's fine.
That's part of the deal.
But the vote
those comments have to be answered.
Yep, but the vote should still steer the
It still
process.
Again,
There's no problem with the vote steering the process. The problem is with the federal agencies and the lack of permitting. There's the problem. And that vote does not generate their permit.
Do you know who the point of contact is in Holman's office?
I don't. I have it, but I don't. I think it's the person that's in the Grand Forks District Office. I have that name in my notes someplace, but just in passing, I know that. And it's been forwarded on to the Senator.
I do have one more question as far as the budgeting goes. More of a verification. So in my interpretation of you said that the water board is a separate animal, and it certainly is. So money that has already been advanced to the water board via taxes in prior years, there is no clawback on that. As long as that money was assigned a purpose, the water board gets to spend that money until that purpose is satisfied.
And you're getting into some governmental financing accounting here, which I don't have a good handle on, nor do I want to.
You anticipated my next question.
That's not my deal. But you put a mill levy on for the budget, for the water board budget, for the, I suspect, I think the Fair Board, isn't that a separate entity here in Griggs County as well? I think that's a separate, it's the same, that I can kind of use that as an example.
The library.
Okay, you do a mill levy for those entities, and based upon their budget, which you end up approving, and so yeah, that's.
But what the water board, it says the money is approved until it's expended. So what my question is that in prior budgets, if these drains were not specifically spelled out for funding, then the money that was into the water board budget, whether it be for the Norway Lake drain or something else that was used towards these projects that weren't line itemed in the budget, isn't that money then being spent against the letter of the century code because it's spent outside of a line item in the budget?
I don't know what the line I don't know what the line items were in the budget. I don't know that. So,
Okay, that's okay.
So I don't know.
So that's okay. So, yeah.
That'd be an Alan question probably.
So if it isn't line itemed,
Then
the fund the account balance in the water board checking account can't be used towards these assessed drains.
I don't know if I know the answer to that. I guess my thinking is that it can be, but because isn't one of the line items in their budget just a general fund within the water board's general fund? Isn't that one of the line items? Or is that, I don't think they're all earmarked funds, are they? I don't know.
It's been different every year.
I don't know that, so I just don't get into that. So.
It probably doesn't have to be unless we ask it to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess and follow on that. So then the prior commissions have not dictated that these are dollars are going to be used for these drains.
Exactly.
You haven't dictated that.
Right.
So I think my guess is you had a line item for general operations probably within the water board.
I don't know. I don't know that we ever saw a budget before.
Oh, you get a budget every year.
I
I know that.
don't know if it was.
Right, Mr. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get a budget every year that you approve. So sure, yeah.
We approved a budget last year,
Yeah.
but it wasn't in the format that we're used to.
I understand that, and I know that was I remember something that even back when I first started with Griggs County, it was a different format with that I wasn't used to reading when I looked at it, but as little as I get into it, but yeah, I mean that's just a simple matter. But you've always had a budget too that you've had to approve. You have to, I think, with all your departments, with all your boards.
But it wasn't specific.
No, it hasn't been as specific as we have
with everybody
else. And that's also been a point of contention.
And that'd be your bailiwick to request that, I would think. So yeah.
We request a lot of things, we don't necessarily get it.
Well, it's not.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Tom? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, you bet. Okay, thank you. Chair back
You can leave it there. I'll just leave it there.
here. Okay, there you go.
You ready for me, or did you need?
Need a 5-minute break.
You have to
Okay.
acknowledge the resignation letter.
Can we do that after the 5 minutes?
Oh, absolutely. You can. Just wanted to make sure you didn't forget about it.
What was it?
The resignation letter.
We just need to acknowledge the resignation letter.
I'll make a motion to take a 5-minute break.
Moved by John to take a 5-minute break. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Sean. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Because I got a 3:15 meeting back in Macville, so.
Okay. Call the meeting back to order.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, this is Julie's budget.
Did you? Sorry, this isn't.
We need to acknowledge that Mr. Eric Heyerdahl has submitted his letter of resignation from the water board as of September 12th. And Tom, you had something else on,
Yes, I was talking to the state attorney, Mr. Tennyson, that another possibility that maybe I should bring up, and then we had discussed this a little bit, is that the Bank of North Dakota does, recognizing this issue with water boards and these projects, is that they do have some interim financing that we could apply for, if in essence, to make the pot right, if that would help your thinking about that. That's a possibility. Where we would, in essence, borrow the amount on the minus side, and basically bring that default back up again, and then
so they don't require any security for that?
Yeah, the levy.
well, the levy, but
I
the
see.
levy, right? But they understand.
So they buy the warrant, basically?
yeah, they buy it. But they understand. They understand
The process.
The process.
Yep.
So that's a possibility.
Okay.
If that would help your level of frustration.
Well, that
It may-
would put the levy in place. That was always, I mean, when I said warrants, it didn't mean individuals. I meant any institution that was willing to accept that
But
warrant.
they also would take a look at this, and they may not necessarily, the Bank of North Dakota, in my understanding of that, they may not necessarily require the levy this year. They would do the interim financing in anticipation of the levy. So
Yeah.
so that would maybe clear up.
Well, that would be helpful in my mind.
Okay, and that's something we could maybe talk about, because that way maybe we can get that interim financing, and then maybe hold off on the levy if the Bank of North Dakota would allow us to do that, and I think they would. So,
I'm not in favor of holding off on the levy.
well, that's
We're just shortening the time frame. There's no reason to hold off on this levy other than your stubbornness. That's all there is to it.
It's not my stubbornness. It's my.
I know that.
It is my experience with landowners that have to pay these specials prior to dirt being moved.
I just feel that makes it more burdensome later on.
Yeah.
Well, we can certainly discuss.
From that standpoint,
We'll
you know,
certainly
I don't agree with you, but if that's the way it's done, the water board probably does have the ability to make that decision. That's not within our budgetary decision-making process.
Oh, that's wrong.
You don't think
Because
so?
we are required on a 6-month basis to make sure that the assessment drains are not have a negative balance. If they have a negative balance, we're required by the Century Code to step in, make those balances positive, and then put a warrant against the levy for that drain.
Right,
Once
but they
again,
wouldn't be.
That's a drain. That's in that other chapter there again. So, but we can discuss that possibility. So,
Okay.
So and we'll do that probably. Our meeting is next Wednesday, so we'll discuss that. So.
Sounds good.
You're gonna get
And
the
are you
levy
gonna be able
in
to be
place.
there?
What they,
Wednesday.
depends on what the kids' therapy schedule
Okay.
is.
Okay. It's been really helpful. It's been really helpful to have Mr. Peterson there, because it's a good line of communication.
Well, if he can't make it, maybe one of us can.
Washington DC for core engineer issues.
Good.
Hold one's office.
He's in DC. Okay. Good.
Joe Parker's the
Okay. Great.
point of contact.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, Julie.
Okay,
We gotta get Julie out of here.
yeah, I got a 3:15 meeting in Macville, and I do not want any speeding tickets, so going cross country, I gotta run into farmers too. So, this is the official public hearing for the health district budget. And so, if you remember the process, there's the individual public hearing, and then no sooner than 15 days after the individual public hearings is when that joint board meeting is scheduled along with Nelson and Griggs County. I met with them this morning. We did a quick, look through and answered a few questions, not too much details, and then looked at the scheduling for the joint board meeting. So that's kind of what I'm going to cover in 15 minutes or less. And again, it's much easier if you have questions as you go along, or as we go along, just to ask versus me trying to explain in a lot of detail. What the Board of Health
Oh, there it
approved
is, E1.
was the same amount of monies as before. The $75,000 is prorated between the two counties. We did have some discussion in Nelson County about how their share and your share, we are able, according to Century Code, to levy up to 5 mills. And so the amount of money that it ends up being is like a little under 2 mills. So that is one thing on that sheet that I think you sent. We are limited to 5 mills. I think you've got 4 mills
Okay.
listed on there.
Okay.
And that's, again, we are way underneath that. So I did see that you have talked in the past on the budgets and looking at the, I think it's $33,000. I think that's what your share would end up being, is how you've done it in past years of the 75,000. And then if it was 33, then sure, make me think here, 32, 43 then is Nelson County, is how you've kind of prorated it when Sam has been talking to Sheila.
Oh, is that all? That's the number I have in the preliminary budget is 33,053.86. Is that right?
I leave it up to them at the 75,000 prorated.
I see.
Across the board, because that's how it's supposed to be done when you look at the taxable valuations and things like that.
And
So-
it'll change.
That's going to change. Yeah.
Right,
If-
right.
If it's 60/40 this year, it might be different next year, depending on the valuation of each county.
Right, yeah.
And Nelson's doing a major overhaul this year, so
Right.
I don't know what it's going to do to the overall taxable value of the county. But
Yeah, but it's the 75,000 total between the two counties, and
Yep.
that's how we looked at it, and that's been the same for 2 years, I believe.
Right.
So, okay. When I talk about some of the income and the expenses, I'm just gonna touch on them briefly, unless you have questions, because we can go through that in more detail at the joint board if you wish. Just remember, when we do the grants, a lot of the grants run from July 1st to June 30th, because that's the fiscal year of the state, okay? When you look at like disease control, and it has 132.5 in the first column, it's subdivided over on a little bit to the italics, where we're looking at health insurance payers. That's including all Medicare, Medicaid, donations, anything like that. That's just all included. We had a little bit more estimated this year because we knew some of the Medicare monies for services done in 2016, payments weren't coming in till 2017. So we expected that because they had some glitch in the payment process, so we knew that. So we did reduce that a little bit. If you remember when we talked regional collaborative, the northeast corner of the state from Towner County, Lake Region District Health Unit, and east, we're all in a northeast collaborative, public health collaborative, where we work together. That's 8 local public health units, so things that we do together. That 10,000, the bottom where it says any PHC miscellaneous is 9,000. That would be any expenses that we would pay out of the health unit, and then we keep 10% as administrative fee of that grant. As far as rent, if you remember, Dr. Dunham, the optometrist, is in our office, but he also pays for 1 day of clerical or secretarial assistance, and so that includes salary plus the rent for that. As far as the SPF, SIG reserves, remember that is the alcohol prevention programs that we had, that huge grant. Monies are set aside in a savings account for purposes for the alcohol prevention grant. So keep that in mind when you look at it. That monies would match, and so again, it was just kind of a guesstimate as far as what we might expend in 2018. The tobacco grant, if you remember, the tobacco program Breathe ND was closed by the legislature. They did away with the center, and so they did give the monies to the state health department for that. What we ended up losing was about $19,000 that we had previously been getting in tobacco state aid monies. So that's what affected the tobacco. There was state aid, there was tobacco state aid. So that monies was not recouped anywhere. And then I think we've talked before about cash reserves versus monies, extra monies. You know, I think there's different terminology, but that's what we use to anticipate income of 421,320. We were looking at a 2-year budget. We did use Mr. Rotunda for the budgets in the past. We did 4-year budgets, and we had that. If we estimate a 2-year budget, it was $1,800 a year is what he was charging us. Much, much cheaper than using the state auditor's office. That was running anywhere from $7,000 to $8,000 for just the health unit. It wasn't incorporated with anybody else. Health insurance, of course, we talked a little bit in Nelson County that the full family plan is paid by the health district, and that is a requirement if we are the health district and an employee works 20 hours a week for 20 weeks or more. So there's advantages and disadvantages. It's much cheaper than the county breakdown of single versus family, but the disadvantage is that if I chose to work 30 hours for 30 hours a week for 30 weeks, I would still get full health insurance benefits, and that's required. We can't change that. That's part of the law. So we talked a little bit about that. Program supplies. Typically, a lot of the program supplies are the vaccines that we purchase, and so that's where a chunk of that ends up going. So that's in 10 minutes or less. Any questions as we're going? I mean, I see you looking at it, but I don't know if you have any questions as we're going through on this.
How much of your program supplies do you get back from insurance companies?
I don't know. I've never figured that out. As far as vaccines, I can tell you that, the vaccines, and then if we charge health insurance or Medicare, then that reimbursement goes into there. But like program supplies, I don't know. Never tried that.
Would that be part of the health insurance payers?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Some of it, not all of it.
Yeah,
There's some
the
program
portion
supplies.
of it.
Yeah. That's usually just the biggest expense when you look at the expenses.
Any questions? Anybody? No?
Okay. Then if you have your calendars handy, again, when we looked at no sooner than 15 days, that hits the last week in September. And if you want a morning meeting, Monday and Tuesday would be out. Monday is when we have Dr. Dunham in the office. Tuesday is when I have immunizations down here in Cooperstown. So we're looking at Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of that week.
28, 29, 30?
I can't see from here. Is it?
27, 28.
I think it's 27, isn't it?
Oh, yep.
27, 28, 29?
Yep.
So nobody in Nelson County had a preference between 27, 28, and 29. So I said I would wait till after I visited with you. And I don't know when does you're talking water board meeting, is that a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
They're Wednesdays.
Like the fourth Wednesday?
21st is the next one, right? Or 20th.
Are they every Wednesday?
No, the next one's the 13th.
Okay, so
that's
like
2 weeks after.
27, 28, 27 is okay for you then, is what you're saying? For water board?
I think the 27th, there's another one. I gotta look at my notes.
Okay,
You have them every other week, right?
Yeah.
then it probably would hit the 27th.
He
So-
said the 13th, so.
Okay, so then either the 28th or the 29th? Anybody conflicts with those dates?
Do they have those meetings in the morning, Dale?
Yeah, 9 a.m. 27th is a water board meeting.
th 28th?
That should be fine.
So we'll plan, or John, are you still looking at your
No, I'm
calendar?
good.
Okay, 28th works?
Yeah.
What time works for you? I think, Dale, you probably have I don't know, between you and Sean, I'm not sure which has the furthest to come.
Oh, Sean lives in Cooperstown.
Well, see, I don't keep track of where everybody lives. I ain't got enough to keep track of. So,
Dale's a winner.
you get to be the winner. You get the water board and the farthest distance, right? So
What date?
if we're looking at the 28th is a Thursday,
Yeah.
did you see something come up? Okay.
No,
So what works best for you for time-wise then?
Just pick a time and we'll be there.
Okay, they suggested 8, but I didn't know if that was too early.
No, that'll be fine.
If you want to do 8,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Okay. So before I zip out the door, any last minute questions from Dale?
No.
John?
No.
Troy?
No.
Sean?
No.
From the general public that's
No.
part of this hearing. So you get to be, there was one member present, you know, in the official notes, but
By accident.
by accident. But Sam,
No.
anything from you? You know you're always welcome to come. I told Sheila the same thing. She goes, I don't remember being there. I said, you don't have to be there, but yeah, Tasha will be there. My Tasha will be there to take minutes and things like that. So
Perfect.
you're welcome to come.
Okay.
Anybody's welcome to come, but most choose not to. So, all right, with that, I'm done. So unless, anything in particular you want brought to that? I wasn't ready for that one.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, well, if you think of anything specific, Troy, you're not too far away. You can always walk across and say,
That's right.
yeah, we want to have this brought up too, or this presented. So
Okay.
I'll try to do it fast and be out of there so that you can be out of there. And I'm going to book back to this one. So
Okay.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Drive safe.
I will, drive safe. See you later. Got it.
DES.
What's that?
I got a letter.
Uh-oh.
You make that really tight.
Oh, excuse me.
You're okay.
Evidently, the DES has been demanding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things of Bob.
To come into compliance.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, I didn't outline their deficiencies in that letter, but what's IS 120, 241, and 242?
That must be those programs.
Oh, those are courses he hasn't completed in the
Right.
last several years.
Yeah, in order to be certified.
Right.
And if he's not certified, we don't get our reimbursement.
I think the most pertinent sentence in this letter from the DES is at the start of the third paragraph. If you decide to hire someone new, we have the leeway to give a grace period to them for the grant purposes. Which implies that if we don't hire someone new, they're not going to give us any leeway.
Well, but that second paragraph, they kind of leave the door open though. If Bob is going to continue as EM, he needs to come into compliance. At the time of this email, he's not in compliance, and if your county is interested in getting any grant dollars from us to help pay his salary, as has been done in the past, he needs to come into compliance.
And this must be all the items needed to come into compliance.
Right, that's how I interpret it.
Yeah.
He should know what needs to get done
Right here.
and do it as soon as possible.
Right. So
I think to answer your question, Troy, in the first paragraph, therefore, those grant funds are subject to being withheld. We at DES do not like to be forced to withhold these funds from the counties. We have always wanted everyone to get their fair share.
I know.
But it's our duty to do so when counties are not in compliance.
correct.
So then they say if they'll give us some leeway if we hire
So
someone new.
I'm making an assumption here.
Did you read this, Jamie?
That email, I got it earlier, I didn't read
Okay.
through it all the way.
You sent it. Did you forward it to Bob?
Oh, yeah, that's how this came about.
So I'm going to make an assumption here, and we could follow up on it if we want to. We either have to find somebody new, and then they're going to give us some time to get our act together, for that person to get their act together. Or I'm guessing that Bob got this copy of this email from Samantha that he called out there and said, okay, I've been bad. How long do I have to be good? And I bet you that number is September 20th. We can call out there and find that out. It's easy enough. But if you're gonna let him, we can either let him do what he says he's gonna do, or we can. But we do probably need to get back to the DS. What with our decision?
Yeah, it says, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a couple examples of the EMs from the area. If you do hire a new EM, please let us know as soon as possible.
Right.
Well, Bob said he's gonna do it, I'm in favor of giving him a rope.
Just because we were unlikely to find someone to step in a timely manner to take over.
What I would really
We're
like
gonna need
to
one
see,
in 6 months anyway, right? So
we are. I would really like to see somebody from the Cooperstown Ambulance or Fire Department take this, and they could have a part-time person.
I tried, I met with the ambulance and the fire department, and I said, here, 911, the DES, $15,000, you can have a part-time person. And yep, we're up for it, and then they're not up for it.
The one problem I have with anybody from any emergency responder agency, being the DES, is that they're responding at that time of an emergency.
You don't think the sheriff would be?
Well, yeah, I know. That was kind of my whole.
I think the fire department has more extra bodies than the sheriff's department. If somebody from the fire department had to coordinate in a disaster situation, there's more than 3 firemen. I mean, they could spare somebody. The Cooperstown Fire Department is so active and so good. I think they could handle it.
They just need somebody who's willing to take it.
But it would be a position.
Well, the problem is 100% of those people have full-time jobs.
Mhm.
You know, that's the rub here, I think. Maybe we should somehow Foster County gets this to work, I think.
They have their own emergency manager, I think.
But I think he's in the ambulance bay.
It's a.
Or they. Or
Yeah, I don't know what she does. I mean, I don't know if she does other I've met her, but I don't know what else she does.
But I mean, I think they have, the ambulance over there is somebody on the payroll. But
Well, that's what I was trying to get here. Is
Exactly.
someone to be there 3 days a week or
somebody that
Three half
be
days.
at that facility to answer the phone and do
Right.
whatever needs to be done and to keep the balls in the air. But
I mean, I suggested it be in conjunction with City Hall. If they got a part-time person in there, the other part-time could be the.
oh, sure.
But again, it went good for a while, and then it just fell apart.
So what about Wes's suggestion of someone in the sheriff's office? Not a deputy specifically, but that emergency manager being in the sheriff's reception area.
Well, we tried to give him a receptionist, and then he decided to with a conflict of interest.
With the emergency manager?
No, with the recorder.
Okay.
I think for now, we just let Bob run with this, get us back into compliance, and we're gonna have to revisit this in 6 months anyway.
Well, unless
If he's only gonna do it to 6, but
Well, it looks like he's gonna be around here for.
ever.
I think so. Where did I read that?
Was it an email or what was it?
Down on the bottom of this sheet.
This one?
And so,
You know, he was buying a house
Yeah.
in a cabin, buying a house in Cooperstown, and would be around here part-time.
You have a cottage.
Yeah.
There we go.
Where's that at?
Yeah, page 29.
There we go.
I'll be in Griggs County half-time over the next few months and in the process of buying property in Cooper to
There we
build a
go.
cabin cottage.
So maybe he's gonna be around, maybe this is just 6 months at a time. Yeah, I agree. I think we should let Bob just do it. Maybe he can be Wesley's secretary.
Well, it says here I will be hanging around with to assist Wes in the transition as well. So.
Right. Maybe we'll
so I need to reply back to these guys and to Bob. Is that correct?
I think I would reply back with Bob's letter. I think I'd forward Bob's letter to the DES
Okay.
and see what, and ask what position that puts us in. Is this acceptable to get
Have
back into
to ask,
compliance?
make sure this is an acceptable plan to the,
Well, I
to the
think that's
state.
all they're looking for is a plan. I think that's what we had to do before,
Okay,
was to come up with a plan.
okay. Motion to that effect?
I move we allow Bob to bring the DES back into compliance.
Been moved by Sean that we accept Bob's proposal to bring Griggs County DES back into compliance. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Tax Director's Office.
Me and the department heads kind of got together trying to find a plan for a space for David. And what we had kind of come up with is when Bob moves, the sheriff's, or he's no longer the
Want
sheriff.
to stop right there?
Sorry, yes.
That's not the, we have a space for the, we've already designated a space for the tax director.
Okay.
That, as far as that's been, we already put it into place, here's where it's gonna go, we have to accomplish that.
Okay, because I talked to Troy and he kind of said to
Well,
get a plan, so.
I said, if you have a better plan, let us know.
And
Guess what? You guys should know better than that.
did you hear the plan?
Yep.
the reason.
You're gonna kick Bob out of the DS office and put
No, he would go in the communications office. Where
and put the tax director on the opposite end of the courthouse as the rest of the records that he needs to do his job. Really?
It needs to really sit next to, there's a reason, the reason behind it was because the tax director needs to be in the same office with the recorder because, and the, close to the treasurers, because a lot of the information is shared between them. So we don't want someone going from there to there to there to there. It would be a lot easier if we had a space designated, and that's why we did it in the recorder's office. It wasn't anything other than convenience, and the office is of sufficient size. And I thought that was a settled issue. And
Was there a motion at the last meeting?
I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. Let's, I mean, maybe we should walk down and look at the recorder's office right now and see where what space should be taken here. There was two different options. Kelly wanted it in the southwest east corner, and there was another option for the northwest corner of that office.
The problem is right now that, correct me if I'm wrong, David, your computer is in her office and your desk is in the treasurer's office?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. So
So we need to help
let's
David,
walk.
because that's not fair.
Nope.
Let's walk over there and look.
Hi. Oh, we're just looking for a place for the tax director. So the two options, Kelly wanted here, this space here, and that space there would give a separate entrance to the tax director's office.
But I think the court officials, unless, I mean, I haven't seen anything from them. But
No, I mean, I haven't seen it either. The question was security.
Hold on, I got stuff falling on my desk here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can put my 2 cents in terms of what makes sense for ease of, if it is decided that I have to be in the county recorder's office, I think this corner makes more sense. I think it's important to, in terms of both ease of access for citizens that are coming in.
Right.
It makes far more sense to put in a door or something on this side versus having them try and go through there. That's, it's not really, it's not very convenient for the citizen coming in to have to go through 2 doors to access there.
Right.
And then in addition, there are the privacy concerns that that door is supposed to be for court officials. So if the reason for me to be into the, I'd rather be in this corner if I have to be in the recorder's office. But again, in terms of simplicity and in terms of like taxpayer expense, it's far easier for me to be in the DES office versus constructing walls and doors on here. I don't know, I'll be in 3 days a week. I don't know how often Bob will be in for DES, but from my perspective, the simplest thing to do is be in the DES office. I know there's records here that I'll need access to, but if I'm prepared about meetings that I'll have with citizens, I can arrange to get the records that I'll need. That's my take.
So where is the, I still haven't seen, Kelly, something from the court saying that we can't, that has to be locked during court hours, during court session.
Well, that's part of our court security meeting.
I wanna
It's part
see-
of our court
I wanna see
security.
that. I want a letter from the judge to that effect.
Absolutely.
That he has to have access to the recorder's office. I don't believe that.
This is also the clerk of court's office.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
But also, from my
I mean, that's-
perspective, it doesn't make sense to make someone walk through 2 doors to get to that corner to access me when there could be an easy access over there at the DES office.
But the DES office is a DES office. We're gonna have a DES officer. There's gonna be someone in there.
I thought the DES was moving to the back of that, back in the communications room.
No,
That's
the
what it
DES
is.
office is designated right where it's at. When the courthouse was built, that's what it's for, there for.
Well, this was designated as the recorder and clerk of court's office also.
Yeah.
I mean, so we can't really use that card.
But it needs to be.
But we can change that.
You can, but for security purposes, I mean, it
Again.
can't be partitions.
Show us the security.
Well, we can talk about it some more. In the meantime, hold on.
Just for clarification purposes, you work at the pleasure of the county commission. That's where you take all your inputs as far as your job description. It is not from the rest of the courthouse staff. So you work for us. So from now on, please direct all your questions to us, and everything that you need handled should come through us, because we are ultimately responsible for your actions.
Absolutely.
Okay?
At this time, I recognize you have the authority to decide where my office is. I just want for the record, I have my preferences of what I think would work best for my department, both so from the tax director department and from the DES office with Bob. I think we can at least let our preferences be known about where we would like to be. But and certainly want to be in communication with how questions that come up on a day-to-day basis. Right now, figuring out how things operate around the courthouse. Connie's been a great help with answering different questions. She's really accessible. Appreciate that. And at the same time, I'm fully aware that I report to County Commission.
And that is, this portion of the courthouse is separate from that portion. This is specifically for the non courthouse functions. The office was originally back down the hall in that part of the courthouse. And everything here is designated as a place, a DES office.
I know, but we've
DES
changed
office. I
the
know that.
format around, John. And like it or not, I think we should consider David's preferences based on the fact that we don't have much control over the elected officials, and I think we'd be subjecting him to a hostile environment if we forced our hand on this thing. And I would rather have David stick around for more than 2 weeks, and I don't think he's going to put up with those people for very long, because they don't have the taxpayers' best interest at heart. And you're not going to change that. You can't change that. And you can't unelect them. The voters have to do that.
You're right. Yeah, from that perspective, that's probably
I
correct.
just think that's just the way it's going to be around here.
So how are we going to get where are we gonna put the DES office then?
I think Bob, if I can add into, I think, from what I've been told, Bob has said he's very willing to run DES out of the communications room. There, I was just there this morning, there's an office, there's a desk.
Oh, I
set
know,
up.
there's
Yeah,
a full workstation in there. I'm
and I
not
think
sure that anybody's ever warmed the chair in there yet.
Yeah, so I think if Bob is willing to make that change, shift his, if he's willing to make that move, I'm willing to make that move. If things change in the future, I'd be happy to move as well.
Right.
But if he has that preference, I have that preference. There doesn't seem to be a strong reason to.
It's just gonna make you travel more miles in the courthouse, but if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to do it.
I'm still young.
I know. Very. Thanks for reminding us. That's my 2 cents,
Mhm.
so.
Well, no, yeah, if we put them into the recorder's office and it's gonna cause conflict, and the conflict is not directed at us, as it should be if it's directed at David.
It will not be.
Then
You're not here.
Yeah, then you're probably correct.
I don't like it, but it is the way it is.
I guess we were trying to get around building walls and a door.
There would not need to be a wall or a door.
Well, that's what we were kind of
Nobody's ever
thinking.
showed us any documentation to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I both know that's what it takes. Somebody needs, you can't just throw things out at the wall and see if they stick.
What do you
That-
mean?
From what I understand for the tax director position, there might be times when I'm discussing sensitive information, and in those situations, am I supposed to, would have to ask that if there's no separation, would I have to ask?
No,
The
those times
clerks
are
to leave?
those times are few and far between.
Okay.
And we have conference rooms in this building. I mean, there's all
Okay.
kinds of room in here. Yeah, I mean, I used to work at a utility, and we worked in a big office with separators between our desks, and if we needed to talk to a customer about something that we didn't want anybody to overhear, we went to a conference room, talked it over. That's not it doesn't happen daily, probably not even weekly.
Okay.
So I'm not so worried about that. I mean, but I'm worried that you're gonna get run out of here, and I don't want that to happen.
I'm an easygoing guy.
You might be. But
No, well, from that perspective, if you think that's what's gonna happen, then we can't let that happen.
that's just a prediction, but
Mhm. So is Bob's stuff been moved over to DES?
No, not right now. We were waiting to.
well, Bob's
Check this.
right. He's been waiting for us to answer his question, because he emailed me, last week, and I said, well, I don't have a problem with your proposal, but let's bring it to the commission. And then we got this other email, so we didn't know what the timing was going to be from a DES perspective, but apparently Bob called out there and found out what the timing needs to be. So
Right.
now I think we need to act on this, and if Bob's on board with David, then if we give it our blessing, I think it all falls into place and we can avoid a shootout. The building is huge. There's room for all these people in here.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
But I mean, strictly from a workability standpoint, convenience
I
standpoint,
understand your
belongs in
point
that recorder's
completely.
office.
If we had a managerial form of government in this county like we should, it wouldn't look like it does, but we don't.
Okay. No, I'm not. You guys can do what you want. I'm not in the habit of giving in to perceived threats.
I don't.
I've never run my life that way, and I won't.
I know.
what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong.
I get it. There's time,
But I won't feel bad if you vote the other way.
So, with that said, David is proposing that he occupy the space that was originally intended for the DES office, and Bob, as a DES officer, has expressed a willingness to move back into the communications room, and if that's what you guys would like to happen, then I would entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Been moved by Sean to accept David's proposal. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll coordinate with Bob about what the time frame for that looks like.
Okay.
Yep.
In the meantime, we'll go back and forth between.
I need to talk to you sometime too. I have your telephone number. I'll call you
Yeah,
sometime.
give me a call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Games of chance permits. We have a permit application from the Jesse Wildlife Club for a raffle.
And the Mabel Lutheran Church.
Yeah, we'll do one at a time.
How many are there?
There's two.
Oh,
Two. Just want to do both. There's another application from Mabel Lutheran Church for a raffle also. But we should probably act on them one at a time.
Make a motion to approve the Lake Jesse Wildlife Club charity permit.
Moved by Dale, seconded by Sean, to accept the Lake Jesse Wildlife Club application for a permit to hold a raffle. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And there's also one for Mabel Lutheran Church for a raffle as well.
I'd move to approve the Mabel Lutheran Church raffle permit.
It's been moved by Dale to approve the Mabel Lutheran Church raffle permit. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. guys aren't looking at this mill sheet? Or the, you wanna go on to,
I was looking at the budget.
oh. Yeah. Oh, you're in the budget. Okay. That's the next thing on the agenda.
Okay, Sam, tell us what's going on.
This is the budget after Ron had sent it back to me with all the formulas password protected.
Yep.
I put in all of my numbers all over again.
Yep.
I have rechecked them 4 times.
Yep.
And all of the changes that you guys made on the 18th and the 24th
Yep.
are reflected in here.
Mhm.
So I guess it's just however you guys would like to go forward. In your packet is also a notice of hearing for the budget. This is the ad that I have to get into the paper. I have notes that it's supposed to be in for 3 weeks, which means I would have to get it in by Tuesday. And so just letting you know kind of what my numbers look like. And if you guys have any questions on that. I did see that the other ad that I have to get to the paper got on the back of your budget form. And so I just need to know what number. It says tax levy amount to change by negative 0.62%. That's not right. That was from last year. Wondering what number I put in there.
Well, we have to go through this budget, make sure everything's correct in here.
Mhm.
There are a few changes, and then it will be the difference between, the difference between
Those.
on page B, right here. What is that, B?
Was it
A2.
A2? Yeah.
A2. It won't be the, it will be the difference between the 1.9 million and the 1.6 million with the social services added on to the 1.6. So it's going to be a negative number, but very, very minimal is what it's going to be.
Okay.
You add the old service or the state allocation into that?
Well, in order to have, I don't know for sure, but I mean,
I don't
otherwise
know
it's gonna
either.
show a drastic decrease.
It
And
is.
maybe that's right, because maybe it's offset by the fact that the state doesn't give you any money back, so maybe that's right.
It's because it's the net is going to be.
Correct. So
But
then it's the difference.
It's a $344,534 divided by whatever the estimated mill is, so it's going to be 25 mil or not 25.
No, but it's not mills. They want it in a
Meaning percentage.
percentage. So you divide the.
Oh, it's a
The
percentage.
1.608 by 1.953.
Okay, 1.608 divided that by, what did you say?
By the mill levy last year, the levied amount last year.
Okay, okay.
But that's not really a fair assessment without that. Without the social services on there.
I know. Well, you're not. That's why I said you should add the 3.4, the 344,000 back in there.
So we could have added $344,000 in new levies
Right.
in other areas and still had a net zero increase.
Right. So the way it reads, I think that is correct. The way to do it with the 1.9. What percentage is 1.6 of 1.9?
Well, you gotta divide. You take 344,534 and divide it by 1.953. It's a 17% decrease.
Yeah, you can do the same. You can do the same way by dividing.
17.6.
You can do the same way by dividing 1.6 by 1.9, and it'll come to 83, and then you subtract it from 100.
Yeah, I know, but
That's the way I was doing it.
Okay, so I take the 344, divide that by the 1.9.
It's minus 17.64.
Right. But it's going to change a little bit, I think, if you guys so desire.
So the overall budget, if you, let's just, the social services budget last year was 401,000.
No, but the levy wasn't.
Levy was 324.
The levy was 324.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So the budget is just about a wash.
$20,000 negative. Right. But according to the way the ad runs, it's actually $17,000
17%.
negative. Yeah. Right.
And I don't know if that's right. I mean, she could call the state auditor's office and ask them how we're supposed to do it. I mean, I don't know what they want us to use there. It looks like a fictitious number.
It is. But I mean, really, the 17% is correct because they're going to pay. We levied 17% less tax, but in actuality, they're not going to get 12% buy down. So, in order to give them an idea, the taxpayers.
Boy, that was right on the tax statement.
Yeah. Yep.
So that wasn't in this calculation.
Yes, and on page 1A, 2A, yeah, no, the 12% is not anywhere in here.
It was never in our budgets.
No, no, that was on the tax statement. So, no, that was never.
Yeah,
in
there
the
was
budget.
just a statement on there, wasn't there?
Yeah, no, that never came on the revenue side of our budgets. No.
That's why it never played into this thing.
That's right. Yep.
So
That's why it was so easy for them to gobble it up and then make it look like they were giving it made it look like they were giving us something by taking command of the social services and paying for it, but they didn't have to show where they lost anything on our
just
side of it.
because we're going to tell people that the budget went down 17%, and then we're going to charge them more taxes because the 12.5% discount is not going to be in there.
No, but we aren't. We as a county entity are going to charge them less taxes because that 12% goes county-wide. I know, but we can only account for what we do.
But the net effect of this thing is,
unless the school boards and the hospital and everybody else gets in line and shows some frugality, yes, it's going to cost them more money last year than this year because the net gain to the county by having social services taken over was 8%. And the net loss over county-wide was 12%, so it's going to cost 4% more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shell
And
game.
do you think anybody's going to make that up?
No, it's a shell game. I mean, that's all it
So,
was. And so, yeah,
so everybody's
So the school's taxes are going to go up.
they're going to do just the reverse of the way they've always done it. How many mills can we levy, and let's make the budget fit that. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's probably
unless you
correct.
get quota, then you pad it by $500,000. See, you can buy
It was,
stuff.
what's the reverse of unforeseen expenses? Overestimated expenses. At the time they put in there, they were correct. So I went through this and the only change that I saw, and it was in there beforehand, was on B, not the only change, but one of the changes. B7, B15B.
B as in boy?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had expenses in on the sheriff's hourly salary, and that's when we were just considering giving him one deputy for the overtime. And then we had major equipment in there, and it looks like that stayed. I don't see a need to have that in there.
I thought we took it from the sheriff's budget and put it in this one.
We did.
You took half of the hourly
We
salary,
did.
put it in here, and the sheriff, and then put all of the major equipment in.
Right, but the reason we had the $10,000 in here was so that we had a control over it, and we've got a reserve in the general fund that would do the same thing.
Oh,
So we can either do away with this or add it to the reserve in the general fund. But this is.
you're double dipping.
Yeah. So I think we should just remove the 10,000 and the 3,000, those line items, major equipment and
Put 'em in the
sheriff's
general.
salary, and just leave the leave the reserve where it's at, and there's enough to cover it.
Otherwise, we just have more accounts to keep track of.
Right, yep.
So I do this.
I don't know.
Well, somebody needs to make a motion, I would imagine.
I would make that as a motion then. Just delete the $10,000 and the $3,000 from the sheriff's hourly salary and the major equipment. Delete those line items.
It's been moved by John to remove the hourly salary line item from the general expense budget as well as major equipment and utilize the reserve account if needed. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
So now, Sam, that'll change that levy amount, the 2,000 levy amount by negative $13,000.
Right. That'll all carry forward though, right?
If she enters it, yes.
But then
right.
I have to enter it into that other sheet.
Oh, and this
Yeah,
one?
that one.
It'll
Oh,
carry
I
forward
see.
as long as she makes the changes in the general on B.
Yeah.
On B.
Okay.
15. Yeah. So, kind of a breakdown on where we're at. If you go to that A2, you can kind of go through here and see what was levied in the past years and see what we're proposing on levying this year. And you can see any discrepancies. And then if you see one, then you can follow it through.
Oh, sure, I see.
You can see it, so the increases over on, increases and decreases over on the far right side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the big one there that because I'm not sure why, but the library evidently asked for $71,000 last year. We gave it to them rather than giving them the full $4 million evidently.
No, I think they got their 4 mils.
Couldn't. $71,000 isn't $4 million.
Seem to remember something. What?
I think they asked for the full mills that they
thought the
And
value
the
was gonna
value
be.
was-
They calculated the full mills based on the prior year,
Right.
and we gave them the dollar amount instead of the 4 mills.
That's all right. It was up to. So.
Right, it's up to, it isn't.
I mean, we gave them what they asked for.
Yeah, right.
So the question is, are you gonna give them the 4 mills, or are you gonna give them what they asked for this year? Or did they?
I don't remember seeing a budget from them.
Okay.
This year?
Yeah.
You got it in the first round of stuff.
What did they ask for?
How's your commute going?
Me? Why?
Where's he getting from?
Do you need new shoes?
They bought Art Matheson's house.
Oh!
We haven't moved in
I thought
yet.
falling down farther than that.
No, we haven't moved in yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were.
Oh, that's nice.
There goes my sick days. Or my snow days, I mean.
Yeah.
Yep, no more calling me, asking me if we can close the courthouse.
Now you can say no.
We're gonna, we'll just have a string laying across the street. You can follow the
There I
string.
go.
They didn't ask for anything.
They did.
What?
Well, on that, yeah, that's the expense one.
Oh.
very bad of them.
I wonder what their checking account balance is. It's gotta be 130,000.
Well, they spent a bunch on the remodel, you know. Well, yeah, there was 150 or 150 something, you know, remember when they were. All right. Can't give them what they want.
You want more?
107,000.
Yowzers.
Yeah.
So we better be consistent. So anyway, that's.
How many Kindles would that be?
A lot.
One for every taxpayer Griggs County.
Sign up for Amazon, they give you one free, don't they? So Sam, did you see anything when you're going through here that needed attention?
I didn't.
No heat. Well.
And did you have time to speak with Ron? Did he see anything?
No, he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
He's not going to be involved with any of this anymore for a while until he gets better.
Yeah. I know he had kind of helped me a little bit with some
Yeah, I
issues
saw.
that
I saw his version of it
Yep.
after he sent it to you.
Yeah.
He's in the hospital in Denver.
He's diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a
Blood cancer.
blood cancer. And there is no cure for it.
They think, I mean, there's a high probability they can get it to go dormant for
Right. It's
periods of time.
It mimics leukemia, kind of.
It's kind of like,
And he's in a clinical trial out there right now, so he's been sick for 6 months or so. He's just been real weak and couldn't breathe, and that's because he was getting anemic, you know, because of the blood. But he was in good spirits, and he told me, you know, to tell everybody what was wrong with him. So, but he won't.
Steve said he went to the doctor and they took, you know, they couldn't find anything wrong with him, so they took a blood sample.
Yeah.
And he took off for North Dakota. And the doctor, when he got the results, called him. He was already in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Said, "You come back here and come to the emergency room."
Yeah. He just kept going.
Huh?
He just kept going.
No, he turned around in Wyoming and went back to Denver. That's why he's in the
Oh,
hospital.
to Denver, yeah.
Otherwise, he'd be sitting here today.
Yeah.
So he just found out.
Yeah, he's been
Must have had an astronomical white count.
really low. Really low.
Got really high.
High, low red blood
Low
cell.
red blood cell count, so he's anemic, yeah.
White count is.
Well, no, it kind of acts like an autoimmune disease. The cells change, and then they still produce. They still send out the code as if they're producing red blood cells, but they aren't. And then the red cell that produces are not functional.
So you're not oxygenated very good.
Yeah. So the other one that came to mind is on Schedule E, page 8A.
He, okay.
The regular monthly meetings. we'd talked about reducing that to, so it would fit with a 3-band board. And I don't know if that was ever resolved.
I don't think so, but we always have the ability to do that, and if there's a few bucks left in there next year, it ain't gonna hurt anything, right?
No, this is different. This, again, this budget, once it's gone, it's gone. It doesn't, their fund balance does not, we don't get to use that against what we levy for them this year. If we could, there wouldn't be any, they've got enough money in their checking account.
They've got like 130,000 in their check.
Plus another 100 if they get this thing squared out with what those funds are over 102.
But I'm not sure if the drain balances are in their checking account balances. You know, because they have separate drain balances. I don't know if that's lumped with their.
No, but they're negative balances.
No, but some of the drain balances have positive.
Oh, right. Well, then it would be. I got it here. It wouldn't amount to a lot different. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, so.
I got it right here. So you'd have to add another 16,000 into that. So it would be 92, 80. It'd be 86,000 is what it would come back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you subtracted the
16 from the.
yeah. If you'd subtract them from that, I think it's probably
Right.
what they have in reserves.
Yeah.
That's available.
But this is coming back to them. This 102 is coming back to them.
Yeah.
Right. So it'd be 100 and.
If they ever put a levy in.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we should knock that down to 3/5 of that, so it shows, so it's reflective of a 3-man board.
It'd be 9,600.
What's that?
It'd be 9,600.
Okay. Oh, sure. That was the only thing I saw in that one. So that's going to reduce that by
6,400.
6,400, right.
When are you guys moving in, Samantha?
Hopefully by the end of October. We're doing some renovations and stuff.
Renovations?
Kitchen. Painting.
Do you cook?
No, I don't cook, no.
Old is good. You don't cook?
No.
Huh?
No.
Wow.
So why do you have a new kitchen? It's a
Looks pretty.
Coachman pizza, right?
I guess that saves a lot of money. Kind of.
At least you won't wear it out. Just need a microwave and some pizza pockets.
Oh boy.
I can cook, I just choose not to cook. He
Yeah.
likes to cook. So.
Macaroni and cheese doesn't count.
Cereal.
Oatmeal.
that's my make your supper.
Lucky Charms.
Their meeting they had on the 23rd of August, they were talking about dropping out of the Upper Cheyenne.
Right.
Yeah, because they can't get them to do anything that they're wanting to do, so they talked about dropping out of the Upper Cheyenne and using the dues to fund a study themselves, which won't get them very far.
Study to do what?
about the pumping on the Devil's Lake down the Cheyenne, the erosion. They're trying to get the state.
Why is that their problem?
Trying to get the state to pay for something or admit fault or for what reason, I don't know.
Is that why they're bucking heads with the Corps? The Corps is the one that rubber stamped that project.
The state never applied for one. For a permit. They just did it.
Yeah, well, apparently the Corps is fine.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I live on the river, I get it, they're wrecking it, but little old Griggs County Water Board probably isn't the place to start the fight.
So you think we should take that over there or leave it there?
They don't say they're gonna do it, but they discuss.
Right.
We could do it for them.
Well, they have so much money in their checking account, no matter what we do with these line items.
No.
All it's gonna do is change the levy. So,
Technically, it would, if we held them to the premise that they have to use that money for what it was first intended for, but
You were.
I know, but you already conceded that when it's levied, it's gone.
no, when it's levied, it's gone until it's used for the intent it was levied for. So for the line item. So say you levied money for the Karnak drain. That money gets to stay with them until it's used for the Karnak drain. If not, it has to come back.
That might fall into you reading the century code literally.
Well,
And what the intended purpose for
I mean,
was water projects.
Right, or general
Yeah.
fund. So I mean, so yeah,
Yeah.
yes, for all intents and purposes, it is gone, so that, if we send them this money, it's gone. So if they want, so, yeah.
Doesn't seem like a very good use of funds.
Well, it's probably an all right use of funds, but not for every taxpayer. Not everyone shares in it in an equal manner or even close to.
And really, if you read the century code concerning the water districts, all the projects, every one of the projects have the ability to use general tax dollars, but they also have the ability not to. I mean, every one of them has the people benefit pay accordingly for it, and that's, you know, it can be used the other way, but I don't agree with people, general tax dollars being used for projects that only benefit a few. I mean, I know the same argument can be made for roads and things like that, but I can go, even if I don't, I get use out of a road even if I don't use the road. But a drain
When
across,
they pave a street by my house, I'm the one who pays for it.
yeah, a drain across my land, I don't think that somebody in Binford or Sutton or Cooperstown
Has
should
any-
pay for that.
Right, there's no benefit.
You know. What do you think about the Upper Cheyenne, Jamie?
Well, I've been to some of the meetings before, I think it's a joke. Personally, I mean, it's just like every one of those. The only thing I'm concerned about is if they pull crap like they tried to pull a couple years ago, where the engineers tried to pull that study with the creek. We're not in it, we don't know what's going on.
I don't think in today's environment, I don't think that's possible.
No, probably not.
Because that's really supposed to be that's half a mil, isn't it? That actual payment, that 8770 is.
I don't see any of the counties that are in it or getting any, it's another bureaucracy where if you guys making some money off of it. Once we sell, we don't.
Just like the garrison.
Well, in the spirit of Rondell, I make a motion to remove that from the budget.
Upper Cheyenne. Great.
The 8778.
I'll second the motion.
Are you doing that with the regular monthly meetings going down too?
Yep.
Yeah, the same, yeah. And we can't stop them from funding their own study with money they already have, I guess.
Right.
I would hope they wouldn't, but.
Did you second that?
I did.
Been moved by John, seconded by Sean, that the Upper Cheyenne appropriation be removed from the water management budget and the regular monthly meetings budget be amended to $9,600 instead of $16,000.
Why couldn't the water board in that situation?
Is there any discussion?
Make them do a stream crossing study on the river. Make the water commission come up with that study themselves.
Probably could.
Is there any discussion? Is
Just
there any
that
further discussion?
Just that the reduction in the monthly meeting is reflective of hopefully going to a three-man board. Three-member board.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Anything else?
The other thing is just, I know that we doesn't know levy, but is the human services, is that now reflective of the latest budget?
Yes.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yep.
The library budget's still at $107,600.
That's requested.
Well, it says final appropriation.
Right, but all we can give them is by law.
4 mils. No, I don't.
So it'll go in the back page here.
It's short to say,
Yeah.
I requested 1.7, but it gave me
Right, let's see, what page is that, Sam? Where it shows that?
That would be
You know where it shows the requested and then what?
E2.
What's that?
E2.
Yeah. It lists all the.
Oh, it pulls it forward. to
There we go.
the-
There you go.
Sorry, there's some ones I had
Oh, that's
highlighted
okay.
in mine.
So there it shows the maximum,
Sure.
and the program won't allow a levy higher than the maximum.
Sure. Cool.
Right. Correct.
Gnarly.
So, Sam, I think you did a good job. And then when you do it next year, start with a completely blank.
I have Ron's blank sheet.
Okay, there we go. Very good. Rather than taking this program and plugging in new numbers right over top of 2018, we want to start with a completely blank sheet.
How do you put the history in there?
Well, you'll type it in.
Oh, you gotta punch that in?
Yeah, that's.
And that's fine. I would rather do that so that
Yeah.
I.
Well, you can start on that now.
Well,
Just kidding.
Because then
Yeah.
she can.
But
Then
no,
she-
really.
Because then she can print last year's budget and the new one she prints out and she can compare. Let us open the page and it's just a double check.
And
Sam.
needs to be changed this time for 16 before you run that out.
that's the one.
So it's got it for 2016.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Oh, on the top, on the heading?
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
There's my argument for getting a new form every time. Right there.
What?
The year 2016.
Yep.
And then it
Spreadsheets.
says it's the county budget for the calendar 18 and the levies for 17. Is that right? That's
Yep.
17 levies, 18 budget.
Yep. Yipper. Any other discussion on the budget?
So you'll make those changes, it will reduce it should reduce that mill levy by, 29,000 $29,000. So it'll be 1,580. Very good, sir.
This is Barbola.
Huh?
This is garbage.
I will send out a new one when I get those changes made out.
Okay.
Just hold that one, see what the changes are.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Old courthouse, new courthouse.
You have two proposals from Travis. One is for the AC unit for the server room that you guys asked him to look into, and for the projector for this room.
Right.
I can't remember asking for an AC unit. I thought we were asking for just for a vent and a
That's what
I think
cold air return.
that's some of his notes or whatever in there upon looking into cutting vent holes to the server room.
What page is that?
48.
I read it before.
Apparently, there's a wild return in this building, which I can't hardly believe since it's
Can't
a
be.
zoned heating system.
No, I think you're just gonna cut it into one of the return ducts.
He said there is none. According to this, it's a wild return. Which blows me away. Well, there is no ductwork in here. Either way, a fan should be adequate. I don't see why we would need, to me, an exhaust fan in there and a grate in the door.
Right.
I don't
Create
need-
negative pressure in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should do that. I don't know. But it's only $1,300 too. Maybe this is cheaper than starting to cut holes. I don't know. But where are you going to get rid of the heat? Oh, pull air from the hallway and dump hot air into the suspended ceiling.
I have no idea.
Me neither.
The server room was overheating this week.
I heard that.
Yeah, and so we had to prop the door open.
But that's not because that's
So when you pop the door open, it cools down?
Well, we put a fan or whatever, and then yeah, it cooled down.
So
So
fan
why
doesn't-
not just a 2x2
box fan?
or ductwork or opening in the door? Where'd you put the fan, blowing in or blowing out?
I blew it in, and then when I went back down there, it was tipped up. So I don't know if.
Winter months, the air handling system should always be set to fan on always. I mean, all they're doing with the air conditioner unit is just what we're talking about, moving air through there without the unit. I mean, you can't blow air into the attic and unless you have negative pressure to take it away. It won't take it away. That's why you have to have the fan on.
I mean, this is a huge airspace. You put one little fan up there, it don't matter what you do. It'll go somewhere.
Well, is there that much, I mean, in order to have a cold air return, in order to have this thing balanced, there needs to be negative pressure there in every room.
Can't be very much negative if they're using that for the return, or the ceiling tile would float out of there.
Well, I know. But you can't pump heat into a room unless you can't pump air into a room unless you take air out.
No, because they're positively pressurizing the rooms. With the air handlers. Gotta be.
Yeah, but the air handlers they're not drawing outside air, so if they're positively pressurizing this room, there has to be negative pressure somewhere. Has to be negative pressure on the intake side of that air.
Oh, up in the plenum, yeah, there's gonna be, to some degree. But it wouldn't be very much.
No, but so what would happen if you cut a grate in the door and put a grate in the ceiling?
So you get full.
Shouldn't it pull? If there's any amount of negative pressure, it should pull air in and pull it
Oh,
out.
it should pull it up, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's talking about doing anyway. Winter months, the air handling system should be set to fan always on.
Yeah, and that particular room isn't part of the ductwork.
No, so next, Sam, pop a ceiling tile over there, just to the side a little bit.
Is there ceiling tile in there?
I don't know if there is.
Oh, no, maybe there isn't.
I can't say one way or the other.
There probably isn't.
Sort of think it's.
We need to put something in the ceiling and then just pop the door open for now and see what happens. If it cools it off,
Then
then
it'll
you
work.
cut a grate in the door.
Well, now they got the air conditioner fixed. I mean, the only reason that it was overheating in there is because that little split unit quit.
Right.
Well, it's working
But
now.
I mean, come winter, when it starts doing that, let's
Right.
just get a grate cut in the ceiling right away, and then we'll just crack the door. And if that does it, then we'll just cut a grate in
Vent
the door,
the
and it
door.
should be done. And run the fan on always.
And if it doesn't work, you can always put an exhaust fan in the ceiling in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need an air conditioner. Not in that room in the wintertime. You just need ventilation.
Mm-hmm. Air movement.
I wonder how many watts of server is in there.
But I mean, it's a defeating purpose to air condition a room and then dump the heat back. But it's working now.
Oh, it's fine for now until it gets below zero. That's the only time we have trouble with that outdoor unit.
What's the box fan do blowing on it? Even if the door's shut, does it keep it cool?
No, the whole room gets hot.
Does it?
Yeah, I mean, we had our servers in the bank down the basement in the summertime. I had to have an exhaust fan running all summer because they put off enough heat that. And of course, that bank is so tiny.
Where is that room? It's just right over here, isn't it?
You can't get in there.
It's locked.
Sure it is.
Do you want me to go grab the key?
No. It's top secret.
For security purposes.
Somebody got 143 million people's customer information from Equifax. I don't think there's a lot of people trying to get into that room.
No.
They don't need to get into their room.
No, they proved that. So we don't have to act on that. Do you want to put that projector in here so people can use the thing and
Who's gonna use it?
the water board will use it for one thing. It'll be one less excuse that they have to get over here because they've always been hung up on hanging these maps up on the wall. And I'm pretty sure somebody told me last meeting if they could use that projector, that they wouldn't have to do that. They wouldn't have to paper the walls.
So they're just gonna lay the map on.
You might have quit.
How's that work?
They're gonna take a picture of each of the maps and then have them on a thing and kind of show them on, I guess, slideshow or whatever. It's kind of how I took it.
Jamie, you get two new a whole bunch of new phones?
No, they're old phones. They're my phones I have.
Electronic equipment and.
You need a holster.
I know.
You need a phone
It's
with
really
2 SIM cards.
It's really embarrassing when I can't figure out which one's ringing.
Can't you get a phone with 2 SIM cards?
I don't think so.
But when one gets wet, you pull the SIM card out, put another one out. So I had to do it the other day.
I was thinking Uncle has one with 2 SIM cards, but he might have got it out of the country.
I don't think that it's allowable in
No.
the States. I've tried to do that before.
How could that benefit us?
You?
You
Like
guys
with
pay
the
for a trip
commissioner
for me to
meetings.
buy? Yeah. We'll get a
Could
phone.
we get that to benefit us in any way?
Both his numbers ring on the same.
If you were really technical, you'd have everything on your laptop and there all the bills,
Yeah,
so you
you
wouldn't have to look at
do
the
that
things,
these
you can
days.
sit there and go.
That would be pretty cool.
At the bank, we don't have board packets like this.
That's kind of how the social services was too.
But that's what they do at social services too.
Yep.
You would have that file pulled up on there, and we would just go down the list. We'd set the room up, point in the other direction, obviously, and we'd just look at the screen. We wouldn't have to have all this stuff in front of us.
Would that be beneficial to you guys? Would you like
I don't
that?
know.
Do you like it that way?
Well, it'd be a lot more work for you, because you still have to put together these packets, mail them out to us. And
Why?
But then I wouldn't have to I wouldn't have to copy.
you.
And
Yeah, and then everybody just gets a laser, and then you say, what are you talking about?
Well, the lights.
we'll dim the lights.
One, it'd be probably beneficial for the public that are in here because they don't.
Yeah,
see a
yeah.
copy.
Then we'd have to set the room up the other direction. That'd be fine. Obviously, that's how it was meant to be. Apparently that's why they did this switch is so stupid. Because you could shut this row of switches off if we were sitting over there, and then the projector would be shining on the screen.
Well,
I just couldn't do minutes while we were sitting here. Right?
Yeah, you could.
I could.
well, what do you mean? On your computer? No, probably not.
Yeah, you could just put the screens up.
I have another. You guys actually have a laptop in my office. I don't know if you guys knew that, but so we can just.
6 months of rent for the water board or pay for it.
Why do we have a laptop?
I have no idea.
How long have you had it?
You've had it for a long time.
Before us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure at least 3 of those guys didn't even have email account. They weren't computer users at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Cindy said that was the commissioner's laptop.
I'll be darned.
Yep.
That's funny.
Not for me. I bet I went through a whole lot of wasted effort getting information. If I just had a laptop I would have looked at. I wonder, so I want to see that.
You want to see the laptop?
In the next meeting, I want to search it.
I bet there's not a whole lot on there.
I don't think it's got a username. I don't know what the username would be.
I bet there's nothing on there.
Yeah.
They're not that sloppy.
I'll look at it anyway.
Is there money in our IT budget yet?
It was in the budget.
Was it?
I think so.
This was?
I think so.
Where?
Probably old court or the courtroom grant or whatever. You guys budgeted 10,000 for IT in there.
Last year?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't used any of it.
You've used some of it. I can do an account history if you want to know how much you've used.
It's right here, probably.
It's not itemized out.
Oh.
It's just out of the courtroom grant line.
Oh, okay. What are your wishes, fellas?
What model phones are those, Jamie?
One's an iPad, a personal iPad, and a 6 and a 5S.
They're all linked together.
What's that?
They're all linked together in the cloud.
Anything else on new courthouse, old courthouse?
Do you want to go forward with those one or two or no?
I'm not hearing anything.
Okay.
Sounds like they must want to sleep on it.
Okay. Should I bring them back next meeting? Or is it a dead issue? Bring it back?
Silence is a very effective form of decision making.
I didn't know if that was a dead issue or for
in this process.
Okay.
Future business.
The actual projector is $1,000 or $950.
Yeah.
Did you look up the same model?
BenQ MH750 3D ready. Doesn't say ceiling mount or not. That might be different animal.
I don't know, you mount it in the ceiling here, nothing to mount it to.
Well,
Hard things up there?
huh?
Is there
You
hard
need an
points up there?
HDMI extender to hook into the current video system.
Well, we're done with that anyway.
They make little hardware that clamps on those rails. On these commercial rails, you can hang stuff on them.
Oh. I mean, can't we just buy a little standalone projector that sits on the table there and hook up a laptop and shines on there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
It just, yeah.
I mean, actually now the new iPhone 8s are gonna have a projector built right into them. Some of the Samsung phones already do.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You can project on the wall?
Yep.
No
Yep,
kidding.
clips right on the side.
Do PowerPoints from your phone.
Yep. So I
Okay.
mean, I think anything, we just get a little.
Or even a
get
Proxima for a laptop.
Just get a little guy like that and donate the commissioner's laptop to it and it's done.
Then you wouldn't need you can just hook the HDMI right from the laptop right to the
You
projector.
don't have to change nothing around, you can set it right there and you can dock.
Gotta run the network cable right into that floor.
Yeah, and it'll be $100.
Well, the projector's probably $1,000 still, but
No, not, I mean, you can buy those at,
You wouldn't have to install it.
no, you can just buy those little guys, it's standalone ones are, they're cheap.
Oh, I guess I haven't bought one.
Yeah,
Do you want me to research more projectors?
PowerPoint, PowerPoint projectors, what it is.
Or Proxima, I think they call them, the little
Yeah,
Proxima
they're just-
thing, hooks up the computer.
People come in all the time and hook them up when they do PowerPoints, we've had them in here before.
Future business?
Harold was in this week, and he will have some information for you guys. He wanted to get it to me so that you guys could review it for this meeting, but I didn't hear from him, so it'll be hopefully next meeting that I will have something.
What information are you looking for?
The whole audit,
Oh,
everything.
For 16.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, he gave us the numbers.
Yep.
But, okay.
Yep, it's like the whole shebang here.
Okay. Anything else?
Maybe we adjourn.
Been moved by Sean, now we adjourn. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries at 4:50. Meeting adjourned at 4:15 PM, Friday, September 8th. Next regular meeting will be Friday, September 22nd at 1 PM.